Hello there, and welcome back to A Poor Man's Road to Glory, our Ultimate Team series. This episode, we're on our way to creating a fully competitive Premier League team so we can get into our first outing in division rivals. And this year, we're at this episode, we're gonna get placed. I did play last year, so I got kind of a boost in terms of only got to, I think I got placed in Division 7. So we're gonna start from there in this episode. We're gonna do a few squad battles first, though. I know last episode structure was a bit all over the place because I was trying to get the introductions in, what we're gonna do. Even some of what we're gonna do is changed a bit from my ideas from yesterday, so I'm not quite sure it was worth it doing all of that. Even the review was kind of a bit iffy, but hopefully with this episode you get to see more of what it is like with a more structured video and not just random topics. It's just a bit harder with the international break. Is usually just more quiet during the international break. There's not much to react to, and honestly, I just don't watch international football unless it's the Euros or World Cup. So I don't even have any football to commentate on, like how people are playing or whatever. I already outlined what we're going through this episode. So basically, the topics this episode, and this is going to be more like what I'm actually going to be doing during these. The topics this episode, I'm going to talk about Nunez and a few other Premier League strikers, around like 5 strikers. I'm going to talk about them because I just feel like talking about strikers based on considering Nunez is going to be a great part of our team for quite a while, I assume, as here we get as here we're gonna put in Delo for our right back Evo, and after Delo's put in this right back Evo, he's probably one of the best right backs early on to get, like, and he's probably as good as whoever the best right back in the Premier League is, and I think that's Kyle Walker. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Salah as well, also, and his impact for Liverpool. Because I also want to talk about Ballon d'Or, and that's kind of going to be in what we're going to talk about anyway. Probably more Virgil van Dijk than Salah, but also I want to talk about Salah because I said I was going to talk about him last episode. Probably going to go through the Ballon d'Or, and like I feel like the weighting of it needs to change a bit, the importance of different positions, and like the national, like the amount of weight that's put in the national team, because I feel like being born into a nationality that's got a good national team is like, it's just OP at that point, and I don't think that should affect the Ballon d'Or as much. I think it should a bit, yeah, but it's too much usually, I think, and they can just outright get someone the Ballon d'Or, and I don't think it's really deserving to do that. And then if I've got time after that, I'll probably wrap it up with some talk of national football and the Nations League that's going on right now. England have also announced, I think, that Tuchel is going to manage the English team, so there's that as well. But if we don't get to that, then we can probably talk about that in the next episode. So initially, talking about Darwin Nunez alongside another 4 strikers. 3 of them, I think, are already like some of the best strikers in the league. But also the 4th is going to be Rasmus. But I just want to add him into the conversation because I'm a United fan, and I've watched nearly every minute of football he's actually played. So I have a bit of a better understanding of his game and what he's good at, what he's not good at. And so I think I'll be able to give a better insight as. But the other 3 are Alexander Isak, Ollie Watkins, and of course Erling Haaland, best striker in the league. So talking about Darwin Nunez initially, I'm a big fan of him. I think he has all the qualities to become a complete striker, especially with his versatility and his ability to play on the wing. And this, like, and that paired with like his incredible work rate and the high press that he commits to every game, almost seems like he's got such an engine on him. But everyone labels him as a master of chaos ball, and that is because of that. he's unrefined with the things that he does, but I believe that he can be coached into making the most out of his ability, because like he does have a good ability to finish and pass. I just think that he rushes it too much. But if he's coached into, finding the best pathing into making good decisions, he'll be able to master the chaos ball and score goals. On the other hand, the chaos probably ensues from the fact that he presses so ferociously that he causes mistakes and picks up the ball in situations where the defense is on the back foot, and the Liverpool team sometimes doesn't seem to pounce on it as well, I don't think, because he gets the ball in such unorthodox positions. But with time and like the team melding together, getting better chemistry and some good coaching under Arne Slot, I think you'll be able to make the most out of him. And training the team in the situations will help capitalize on the chaos he causes, and he can easily become a top striker in the league. I'm not quite sure of his injury history, but I feel like he's more readily available than Jota, who also plays in strike. Because I think with the Liverpool system, it's more like a false nine. But I think he can easily adapt into playing like a false nine. He'll still get loads of goals doing that. And I think Gakpo, I think he's more acclimated to playing the wing rather than the nine. So I think you really only have two choices up front for Liverpool, and that's Jota and Nunez. And I think Nunez can be the man. But with the Liverpool system, like with the false nine, it also works well with Nunez because I don't think he's a greedy striker. And I think he's more than happy to play in like Salah or Diaz. But even then, you've got the threat of a 1-2. Like Salah, he will definitely attract defenders. So Salah can probably just slot Nunez back in. And I think this Nunez, with some time of practicing his finishing, can easily finish 1-2s and score loads of goals. I've heard he's had like one of the highest XGs in the league already. It's just that his lack of consistency is his undoing. But if he gets more consistent, I don't see much stopping him from getting 25 plus goals and assists in the season regularly. Um, that's probably all on Nunez. I want to kind of get it through it quite quick. But next, I'll probably talk about Alexander Isak, because I've kept an eye on him ever since before Real Sociedad. So when he was at Dortmund, I think he was there at the same time or around the same time as Ousmane Dembele and Pulisic, I think. Ousmane Dembele, I'm a big fan of as well. Like, I had a lot of stock in him, but he's kind of been plagued by injuries. Well, not kind of. He's been plagued by injuries. I do think he's still a good player when he's fit, though. It's just the fact that you have to take into account availability when talking about the impact of a player. So you can't really say that he's that good of a player because he's injured all the time. With Isak, I believe he has picked up an injury here and there. Like now, I think he's out with like a fractured, like a broken toe or something. But I think he's been fit for the majority of his time at Newcastle. It's his third season there now. And I think that he's fit well into the Newcastle system, the way Eddie Howe's playing. And what really helps him is his ability to read the game. Like, his ability to read the game is amazing. And he makes those runs in behind at like the perfect time. And when you've got a brilliant ball player and like Bruno Guimaraes and like now Tonali, I think this season is available, you're gonna get chances for days, like left, right, and center, because Isak, he's really good at controlling those types of passes, those long balls that float in. Like, he's got a brilliant first touch, and he can like press on with the ball. Like, he'll just go straight into acceleration, and he like put pressure on the defense straight away, because he's also got exceptional pace. He's a pretty quick player. On top of that, when you've got these pacey wingers like Gordon and Barnes on the left, and I think Murphy and Almiron regularly play on the right, I think. But even then, on the right, I know Murphy's not as pacey as like Gordon. Like, but you still got like Livermento who'll come off the bench, and he's got pace and he can drive with the ball, and like that also puts pressure on the defense. So they have like a lot of channels like that they can take advantage of, and it helps spread the pitch so that there's so many options for the opposing teams to have to mark and close down, that the midfield won't be starved for options. Like Bruno's got like 3, 4, 5 channels that he can just ping it to Tonali, whoever it is, and they'll be able to make chances for fun. It will be like passing practice. Also, Isaac, I think Isaac's also is very composed on the ball, and his dribbling is so good. He can easily like hold up the ball for the wingers, but also for like players like the late midfield runners like Joe Linton or like Willock. So he can pick up assists as well. The only drawbacks would be the strength of the back line at Newcastle, and I think they've got a bit of a lack of squad depth, and that showed last season with the injuries. They fell behind because of injuries, and also I think they were in a European competition, which also like it hurts your team. You need good squad depth to keep up and juggle so many competitions. So as long as Newcastle play well, I think the success of Isaac will be down to being able to like recycle the possession and have the ball to be able to create these chances in the way that I'm talking about. A player who has no problems with assisting, and the third player that I want to talk about, is Ollie Watkins. I know he hasn't had the strongest start to the season, but that obviously becomes more apparent and criticized when you've just come off a season like he has. I think he had the most goal involvements in the Premier League, at least, bar Palmer, who I would have included Palmer in this conversation, but I see Palmer more as a 10 or right winger. And to be honest, if you were to play Palmer at strike, you would probably lose some of his impact, because I think he provides so much more from a deeper position in the team because of his range of pass. His range of pass is probably rivaling some of the best passes in the league at this point, and he's great to transition the defense into attack rather than being secluded at the top of the pitch like a striker. Speaking of though, Ollie Watkins is great in this case because his ability to do what like Harry Kane was trying to do in the Euros, where he comes deep to get a touch or help overload the midfield, just get passing to help transition to attack. It's like one of the best in the Premier League. I think he's probably the best to do that as a striker, but it also doesn't harm his attacking positioning like it does with Kane, because Watkins is pretty mobile and he'll be able to transition back into attack, and he'll be able to get back up the pitch to provide an option for the midfield. And Aston Villa's high line, I think, will help with that, because in England, like, I don't want to stain Kane for like, you know, what he did in the Euros, but like it's harder with also a deeper line that like Southgate plays. But with Aston Villa, the high line helps with that overloads. So sometimes like they're so far up the pitch that when Watkins comes deep to play like a pass like that, it might eventually turn into assists. I think he got a lot of assists doing stuff like that last season. On top of that, he's good in like tight spaces. He's got good control over the ball, and its ability to like open up angles for a shot or a pass is like it's like actually exceptional. Like you could see in he won the, I think, was it the semis, like he like turned and shot out of nowhere, like he got the space for a shot, like a tight angle. Like it makes him, he's so good at it. But this makes his hold-up play better as well. So it makes him probably the most complete striker out of all 5 of the players that I'm going to talk about today, just due to like his intelligence, because his decision making is pretty good, and like you need to have intelligence to be able to know when to be able to drop deep and be able to get back into attack. So I think he's like the most unique player in this list. In that case, the last 2 players I'm going to talk about, I'm going to pair up together. I want to talk about, we're going to have the Haaland Rasmus talk. Not because I think they're on the same level, but it's because I want Rasmus to be like our Haaland for like Man United. Because Haaland for me is he's the best striker in the world. He's my ideal number 9. Yeah, I would prefer more of a complete striker, but I feel like Haaland's pace and his athleticism and his pure brute strength gives him an edge, and his goal production is just something that can't be argued with. He scored so many goals, and I think he's already on 3 hat tricks or 2 hat tricks this season. He's on like 7, 8, 9 goals in like 7 games. I don't know, maybe more than that. I can't really remember, but he definitely was on 7 goals in like 4 games at one point. And I think Haaland has the potential to do that. Most likely, he won't become like a complete goal scoring machine like Haaland, but with Haaland having his weaknesses in terms of where he's less developed at in terms of his total game, like his dribbling and passing isn't like ex- spectacular. Because Højlund is younger, and hopefully if Manchester United can get back on their feet, get some form flowing, and then hope that Højlund can stay fit, because like I don't think Højlund's actually played that much. Like Højlund has been injured for quite some time at his time here. Like he spent quite a bit of time being injured, but there's a lot of ifs there. But just let me be hopeful as a United fan, because we've got nothing going on. So like I'm being hopeful here. But yeah, I think Højlund has a better chance of like developing the skills that Haaland kind of lacks in. Like Højlund can become a complete forward, but I don't think we'll see anything close to the goal scoring output that Haaland has, even from anyone else in the game anytime soon, at least. I don't want this to seem as disrespect to other parts of Haaland's game though, because I think, contrary to many people's belief, that the other aspects of his game aren't even that bad, but his pure athleticism means that he doesn't need that high level of dribbling, because he can literally street steamroll through a defense on pure like dedication of wanting to score a goal. A similarity in Højlund and Haaland's game is that I think they're very similar in the reading of the game and the ability to be in the right place at the right time. Like their great positioning on rebounds and their length, like when getting to the end of a whipped pass or cross, where it could be out of the reach for most of the players, but with their size, their frame, and their ambition to want to score a goal, they get onto the end of these balls and end up converting goals. I think that's where most of Haaland's goals actually come from. I know it may seem a bit cheap, but there's actually a genuine skill in being able to do that, and it isn't as easy as it seems. But I think with the service Haaland gets, if Højlund got that level of service at Manchester United, I think he could easily steer quite a fair way between 10 and 20 goals. Yeah, most strikers in the Premier League probably would be able to do that on the service the Man City striker gets, but I feel like these two would be on the top of that list if you get every striker in the league to do it due to basically just their size, their pace, and their athleticism. In terms of ranking those five, I'll probably obviously go Haaland 1, and because I prefer like the height and pace, I'd probably go Isak 2nd, then Watkins 3rd. Even though Watkins got more goals and assists, it's just preference at that point. You can put either one either way, and then probably Nunez at 4th and Højlund at 5th, just because Nunez I think he's played more games and his XG is higher. Like you've been able to see what Nunez can do a bit, rather than Højlund. He gets no service, graveyard shift up front for Man United. That's all for talking about those strikers for now. Might come across them again, but I'll probably go into the Ballon d'Or now. I might not even talk about Salah. I might just keep it to the Ballon d'Or, considering it was going to lead me into the Ballon d'Or. Considering the Ballon d'Or I think is going to happen in a couple of weeks. I think they pushed it earlier back, in order to do season by season rather than by calendar year. So first of all, I just want to recap, the past decades Ballon d'Or like top three. In 2013, it was Ronaldo, Messi, and then Ribery in third, which is I think everyone remembers that Ribery year. For a few years, I think Ribery and Robin were like tearing up on the wings for Bayern Munich, so I think they're in here for quite a few years. And I think Neymar's in it for like the next 5 years as well, somewhere in the nominations. Of course, he was a top player at that time. I think in 2013 he was still at Santos, but yeah, in 2014 it was Ronaldo, Messi, and Neuer. Like, I remember the hype around that. Neuer was like, everyone was saying, oh, he might be the first Ballon d'Or winner since like Yashin, I think, was the other keeper to win the Ballon d'Or. But yeah, everyone knew it wasn't going to happen, but it was just nice to see a goalkeeper, because defenders and goalkeepers don't get much love in the Ballon d'Or, and we're going to talk about that soon. But also on the 2014 list, there was, I think, Lahm, Muller, and Robin. So Kroos as well. I think Kroos was at Bayern at that time. So Bayern must have done... What happened in 2014? They must have... I think they might have won the Champions League. I think was that a treble year for them? I think maybe. I think it was. No, I think their treble winning team was the 12-13, but 2014 would have been for the end of the 2013 year, I think. No, I can't remember, but yeah. There was a few Bayern players in that top 10. Unless I've just got it wrong. But I think it should be right. In 2015, it was Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar. Hazard is in that 2015. I think that was like his peak of his Chelsea career at that point. Hazard was in that 2015 top 10. And Sanchez as well. I don't think that was Sanchez's year. Was it really that early that he was at Arsenal, or was that when he was still at Barcelona? Because him and Pedro were coming through during that time, I think. I don't know, but 2016 was Ronaldo, Messi, and Griezmann. This was Griezmann when he was really at the top of his game, and he's turned into like a centre mid now for France at least. But Griezmann really was at the top of his game back then. He was in maybe his first year at Atletico, maybe his second, because I know he was at Sociedad before that. But yeah, and then he transitioned into like a 10. He was initially a winger. But in 2016, there was also the Vardy and Mahrez from the Leicester Premier League winning team. In 2017, the top three was Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar. Yet again, Neymar in the top three. And Ronaldo and Messi, of course, top two every year for like a whole decade. From 08 to like 2017 probably. I know Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or in 08, and I think Messi might have repeated after that. I can't remember. But yeah. There's not really... I think that was 2017 was Mbappe's breakout year when he was at Monaco too. Ramos is in there also. And Kane. Trophyless players getting in the top 10. It must have been the Audi Cup year. I don't know why I'm throwing shade at Tottenham fans. I have no part to play in that role. But I just think Kane... I don't know, man. He just... I'm hating on him because of that Euros spell. Like, honestly, he caused me so much pain during that Euros 2024 Euros. Honestly, it's still fresh in my mind. To be honest, you know what? I don't blame Kane. I blame Southgate for playing Kane and playing that system, and just Southgate in general. In 2018, it was Modric, Ronaldo, and Griezmann. Modric, that was the World Cup run when they beat us to get to the finals. Was it, I think? And then Belgium, France was the other semis, and then France ended up winning. Yeah, I think that was that. Salah was up there as well. I think that was the Champions League. that was the Champions League winning team, wasn't it? I think so. Hazard's also up there. That was probably his last good year. And Kane top 10 again. You know what? I take back all the disrespect that I've just given Kane. Oh, I'm sorry. Genuinely, I apologize for that. In 2019, it was Messi, VVD, Ronaldo. Personally, for me, that year, VVD should have won it. I think that was the Premier League year. The Liverpool Premier League year. I think the Champions League year was the year prior. Oh, yeah, I think so. All the other way around, but I'm pretty sure I'm right with that one. Mane and Salah also up here. So Alisson as well. But personally, I think that the Champions League one was better than the Premier League team, the Champions League team. I don't know. I think I'm in the minority for that, but it is harder to win the Premier League. But I think I'm mixing that up with VVD. I think VVD was better in the Champions League, yeah. Maybe the others got better, I don't know. In 2020, it was null. But everyone was saying Lewandowski should have won that year. And I think Lewandowski should have won the 2021 year also. But they gave it to Messi. Jorginho was third. I don't know how he ended up third. He's just quality of player. He purely got it based on the Champions League and the Euros. I really don't understand, because even Donnarumma was in the top 10 and I'm pretty sure he would have done nothing besides the Euros. Although he is a decent shot stopper, he's really been exposed for not being a good ball playing keeper, and he's really not that good anymore. He's dropped off heavily, I think. In 2022 with Benzema's year, everyone knows that was like a legendary Benzema run in the Champions League. He like literally carried Madrid to a Champions League trophy, so you can't really complain about that one. Mane and KDB. KDB's been in the list for a couple of years now. KDB is past his prime though. I feel like he's probably one of the best midfielders there's been, especially in recent times. His range of passing is actually elite. In 2023, it was Messi, Haaland, and Mbappe. Now, I don't understand how Messi won this. It was all due to the World Cup. But I think Haaland should have got it because of the treble. And you'll see later on, I don't value national. I don't think it should have as much as a weighting. But Messi usually gets the nod when it's between a first and second and he's in the conversation. Messi usually gets it. This year, we don't really know who is going to be the Ballon d'Or, but since it's really quite close, the Ballon d'Or winner is probably going to be Vinicius Jr. And then Rodri's probably going to come second, and third, you can really be anyone, but I'm a fan of Bellingham, and I think he was good at the start of this season. I think the Euros tainted his run, and towards the end of the Real Madrid season as well. I think he was, but there's no way a midfielder, he's really like, he's an 8-10. I don't think he should be playing anywhere near strike, but he had him there. He scored a lot of goals from it. He's a good 10, and I think he's creative. So I think hopefully when Mbappe comes in, well, he's in now. I haven't really seen them play much, but when Mbappe comes in, I feel like Bellingham will be able to play deeper, and he won't get the stats he got last season, but I think he'll be able to play a bit better because he's a very all-round player. I'm also a big fan of Bellingham too. Like, I remember I done an FM save in like 2018 FM save, and like I was doing a Birmingham City save, and he was so good in that, and I'm pretty sure he lasted like a full like 4 or 5 years until I got into like the Premier League and started getting into European competitions, and he was like a star player for me throughout the whole run. So I would like research him in real life, and he was like, I started following his career since then, and I really wanted him. It was that saga where before he went to Dortmund, like Man United wanted him, and I really wanted Man United to go for him, but I'm kind of glad he didn't come to United, because I think we probably would have ruined his career. And in Dortmund, he grew quite well into a great player, and so he went to Madrid for 100 million. I think he should have probably been the world's most expensive player at that time. But I think Rice went at the same transfer window and he went for more expensive transfer fee. But that's like English tax within the English. Like if you're gonna sell to someone in your own league, of course, it's gonna be a higher transfer fee. So I understand that. But talking of the Ballon d'Or winners and like what I think in terms of weighting and the main years, which I can like, where this is really shown that the weighting is a bit biased or like it's in a direction I don't think it should be, is with the 2018 Ballon d'Or. Although I think Ronaldo should have won it, I don't think Modric was undeserving of the title, but he won due to him helping Croatia reaching the World Cup final. And even then, I don't think 2018 was even Modric's best year, so I don't understand why they gave it to him that year. But for also just mainly, I think it was for the Croatia run, but I feel like national team success shouldn't have as much of an impact on the Ballon d'Or as it has, because it's much less developed than club football, and it's somewhat determined by the quality of your national team and your national team coach. The only reason I think it is understandable that Modric won it is due to the fact that Croatia wouldn't be considered like a top 5 or top 10 national team in the world. So it would be more likely that the Croatia run was more attributed towards his performances rather than the quality of the Croatia team. The coaching certainly isn't as good as club level, but of course you're not going to get that caliber of coach in a national team setup. Well, even like right now, like Nagelsmann is coaching the German national team. Like he's like a high tier coach. Roberto Martinez wasting the Belgium golden generation. It shows that the level of coaching isn't there. And although I think that the Belgium team was kind of just didn't gel well, I think that a better coach probably could have got a bit more out of them at least. And with like Deschamps, he won the 2018 World Cup, and I don't think anyone thinks Deschamps is a high level coach. So that shows you that it's not even the coaching that gets you the titles, it's like just the national team, the caliber of players that you got. The most recent World Cup and Euros, the two teams that won were coached by probably the best coaches at the during the competition. You can tell that the teams were coached well, and that was Scaloni for Argentina and I think De La Fuente for Spain. And it shows that the coaches can be the coaches I mentioned before, Deschamps and Roberto Martinez. They can be outcoached by these managers who I don't think they're very well known coaches until winning the respective competitions. Of course, international silverware is heavily dependent on your nationality. So I think it should have less weighting on people's opinion of who should win the Ballon d'Or. In 2019, I think it should have definitely been VVD. The 2018-19 Champions League winning team might be one of the best teams there is, and I think that Liverpool team was strongest that season in 2019, and quite clearly one of the main reasons was VVD. Although I do think Alisson, Mane and Salah were also big factors in that team. The poor form that Liverpool had a few seasons after, like they were struggling a bit in the next few seasons, all of it was put on the shoulders of VVD, partially due to him being the captain and he was playing a bit worse, but I think it was due to him having a big impact during their time on the top in those 2 years, 18-19. This takes me to the problem with the weighting of people's opinions, where attackers seem to get all the glory of doing well, but defenders seem to be held responsible when it all falls down. The impact of a defender on a team is only seen when they're playing bad and the team doesn't perform well, because it's easier to pick holes then. When the teams are bagging loads of goals, it's because the defenders are helping recycle possession by winning the ball back quicker. But then at that point there's no praise for them. There's only negativity when it goes bad. I feel like people don't fully respect the art of defending. and he used to make more of an impact on trophies like the Ballon d'Or. But I do respect the fact that it's hard to score goals. But defending should still be considered a valuable addition to a team. Therefore, it should be considered a valuable quality of a player. In 2022, Benzema would say deserved it that year for his brilliant form during the Real Madrid Champions League push. And I think it was a treble that year, but it was definitely at least Champions League and La Liga. I think they had it well wrapped up before the Champions League final. I remember because I think that was Casemiro's last year at Madrid before he came to United. So I kind of remember. And in 2022, there was no national competition to skew the results because the World Cup was in late that year, so they didn't really factor it in. In 2023, though, they did factor it in. Messi won the Ballon d'Or. I don't think he really deserved it that year. I think Haaland won the treble with Man City, but also on a personal achievements level, Haaland broke the Premier League goal scoring record that year, and he won the Golden Boot, and he scored I think like 60 goals in all competitions that season or something like high, like definitely more than 40, around 50 I think at least. In 2024, the top three is obviously, I think, going to be Vinny, Rodri, and Bellingham. We've already talked about that. And that about wraps it up for this episode. I probably overtalked a bit there, but we just finished our last Division Rivals game of the episode and we got promoted to Division 6. Most likely, I'm only going to get 15 points during these Division Rivals weeks. I just wanted to play this extra game just so I could get into Division 6 for the next week's rewards, so for better rewards. But we completed the Dallo evolution, we completed the Nunez evolution. I think we're almost or have completed the Gravenberg evolution, but that's about the progress we made this episode. Next episode, we will do the normal squad battles, and then episode after will be division rivals, and the episode after will be the foot draft. I'm thinking to do the foot draft live now, the foot draft episode live, just so you can get a lot of reactions to rewards in case I get some good rewards. I think it's just better off like that. Get like around 2 half an hour like podcast style episodes a week and then one live. It's just, I feel like that's a better balance. So and that's it for today though. So farewell, my friends.